Hello everyone, welcome back. So in the previous video, we implemented the create post functionality, and in this video, we're gonna work on our home section. So now let's see what we have done so far. Let's go to our document, and here in new post screen, we added the header, user avatar, then we implemented the editor, add post, we added Supabase storage, media, and then we implemented the file upload using the base 64. So now we need to work on our home section and fetch and show all the posts. And before we start working on fetching the post, we need to create a mockup of the postcard just to see how all the posts will look like in the home screen. So let's create a mockup of the postcard. Let's create a rectangle. So this will be our postcard. Let's choose a transparent background like this one. So let me add a label. This will be our postcard. So here first we will have the user image. So let's create a user avatar. Then alongside with this user avatar, we will have the username and the time of the post. So let's display them along with the user avatar. So this will be a small text and this will display under the username like this. Then at the bottom, we will have an area to show the post body and any media inside the post. So if we have any image or the video inside the post, this will display under the post caption in here. Then we have some actions at the bottom. So heart icon will like the post or dislike the post. Then we have the comment icon to make a comment or to see all the comments in a post. And then we will have a share icon to share this post content, any file or the caption. So finally we will have the three dots icon on the top right corner. So basically this will open the post details and a user can see the comment list and even create the comment from there. So now we need to add this to the home screen. So let's just copy this and use it here. Let me copy this one more time. Let's move this content below so that we have a bit more space. Okay, so after this post, I want to show a loading state at the bottom of all the posts. So let's use a loading icon and place it here. So this will indicate that there are more posts being fetched from Supabase, and once all the posts are fetched, we will just display a message, no more post. So first we're gonna work on fetching the post from Supabase, then we'll work on this card. So first let's create a state here, posts and set posts, and this will be an empty array. Then we're gonna call a function get posts. This will fetch the post from Supabase, and we will define another function inside our post service, and we'll call this function in a use effect hook. So whenever this home screen mounts, we will fetch the posts. So let's use effect and let's move it to the top here, and we need to add an empty dependency array, then call this function, and this will get us the post. So now we need to create a function fetch post inside our post service. So let's go into that file and let's just copy this function and rename it to fetch posts, and this will receive a parameter as limit. By default it will be 10. So by default we will fetch 10 posts. So let's just remove this code and let's change this to fetch post error, and this message will say could not fetch the posts like this. Now we're gonna call the API to fetch the post, and it will give us a data and an error on the response. So let's use Supabase client. Then from the post table, we're gonna select everything from this table. So let's use select, and we can pass static just like in the SQL queries, and this will fetch all the post data. And I want to fetch the post in a descending order using the creation date. So let's use the order function and pass the column as created at. Then as a second parameter, we can pass an option ascending as false. This will fetch the post in a descending order. Then we can use the limit function to limit the posts being fetched, and we want to use the limit variable. So this way we can get the post data from post table. Now if we get any error, let's make a condition and we will return this error here. Let's just indent this, and if we don't get any error, that means we got the post, and in that case we will return success as true, and the data will be the data object. So like this. So let's save this and see if this function is working. So let's move to our home screen, and here let's call this function. We will get a response fetch post. We don't need to pass anything. By default we will have the limit of 10. So got post result. Let's save this and see if this is working, and we can already see we have some log in the terminal. Got post result, and this includes the data and the success object. So this is the data we already saved into Supabase. So let's just copy this and let me format this using a JSON formatter. Let's paste this here and prettify. So here you can see we have three posts. We have the body, created at, file ID, and the user ID. So these are the posts that we created previously. So one thing you notice, we have all the post data and the user ID, but this does not include the user data, and we need that to show in the post card. So we will need to make a few changes. So here when we are selecting the data from the post table, because we have a foreign key relationship with the user, so we can get the user data. So static will make sure to fetch the data from the post table. Then we can specify users table, then all the properties that we want to fetch for each user. So I want to fetch ID, name, and image. So let's save this. Now we got another console log. So let's just copy this, paste it here, and make it pretty. um we're getting this error because now we have the users object array inside each post, but I want to get only the user object, not users. So we can rename this as user like this. Now it will only get the user object. So now we see another console. Now let's see this user object inside the home screen because our formatter is not working for this. So let's console log the user from our first post. Result dot data dot first item, and then the user property, and let's save this. So there we can see the user data, and we can use this user data to show in the post card. So now let's just remove this console log and minimize this terminal. Let's also remove this, and here let's check if the result dot success is true. Then we will set the post state as result dot data. Now I also want to send the limit parameter. So let's create a variable. It will be a global variable limit with a zero value, and we will increase it every time we call this get post function. So limit equals limit plus 10, and let's pass it to the fetch post function. So the idea is whenever we hit the bottom of the screen, we will increase the limit and we will call this function, and it will fetch more and more posts. So let's just console log it here, fetching post as limit. And there we can see fetching 10 posts. So now I want to show all the posts in the home screen. So let's create a comment here, posts, and let's import the flat list component. And for the data, I want to use the post state and show vertical scroll bar indicators as false. Then content container style, we'll have styles dot list style. And for the list style, we have some padding horizontally and padding top. So here you can just copy this style. And then let's add the key extractor property. And we will have a callback with the item. I want to use the item.id, but let's convert it to a string like this. Then we will have the render item property. This will also give us a callback, and we want to extract the item. and this will return a component postcard which will create in a second. And we want to send some properties as item, and then the current user will be the user from auth state, and we want to use the router inside this component as well. So let's just close this, and let's also close this flatlist component. And now we need to create this postcard component. So let's create a new file, postcard. Then let's create a functional component and save this. Now let's import this here and save this. So there we can see we have three posts in the post state, and we are displaying them here. Now let's go into this component and receive all the props. We have the item, the current user, and then we have the router. Now let's console log the item and see if we are getting the post data. So let's save this and see in the console. So there we can see we're getting the three post items. So let's just minimize this. I also want to have a shadow on this postcard, but this will be conditional based on this property has shadow, and by default it will be true. So if it's true, we're gonna use a different style object for the shadows. So let's create this shadow style. And first we're gonna have the shadow offset, as the width will be 0 and height will be 2. Then let's add the shadow opacity as 0.06. Let's also add the shadow radius as 6, and the elevation property for Android will be 1. So these are the shadow styles. Now let me just copy and paste the style sheet here for this screen, and I'll just show you these styles whenever I use them. Now let me just import the theme, the HP function, and let's also import the WP function from our common helpers. Okay, so now let's give this a style of container, and we'll also use our shadow styles based on a condition. So if the has shadow property is true, only then we will apply shadow styles. And let's save this. So because this is true by default, we can see the shadows. So for the container, we have the following styles: gap, margin, padding, the borders. So you can just copy these styles. Now inside this, let's just remove this and have a view and give this a style of header. So for the header, we have a flex row because on the other side, I want to show three dots, and on this side, I want to show the user info. So let's create a view and give this a style of user info. Let's just add a comment here, user info and post time. Now inside this view, I want to use our avatar component. So let's import it. And for the size, let's use HP of 4.5 like this. And then for the URI, I want to use the item.user.image because we have the user data on each post item. So the image will be the user image. Then around it will be theme.radius.md like this. And let's save this. So there we can see the user avatar for each post item. Then let's create a view and give this a gap of 2 pixels. And inside this, we're gonna show the username and the time of the post. So let's give it a style of username, and inside this, let's choose item.user.name like this. And if I save this, we can see the username. So if you see in the console, each post item has this user object because we added this while fetching the post data, and because we have a relationship with the users table. So let's just copy this for the post time, and this will have styles of post time, and here we will display item dot created at property. So we can see the date, but it doesn't look good and we need to format it, and for that we are gonna install another library, moment, and it's installed. So let's just close this and use this to format our date. So let's create a created at variable, and inside this we will use the moment library. Let's just import it, and let's give it item dot created add property. Then we're gonna use the format function, and we're gonna use a format of triple M and then the D. So this will format the date as the English month and the date number, day number. So let's use this and let's save this. So there we can see the date June 19, which is the time of recording this video. Now I want to show three dots icon on the right side. So let's create a touchable opacity, and inside this let's use our icon component and give this a name of three dots horizontal like this, and let's use the size of HP 3.4, and let's use a stroke width of 3, and we will use the text color from our theme object, so theme.colors.text, and let's save this. So there we can see the three dots icon. When we click on this icon, it should open the post details. So on press on this function, we will trigger the open post details function. So let's create this function here, and we will implement this later. So for now, let's just leave it empty. Now I want to show the post body after this view. So let's create a comment here, post body and media. So now let's create a view and give this a style of content. And inside this, we're gonna show the post body. So let's create another view and give this a style of post body. So here, let's use the text component, and inside this, we will use item.body, and let's save this. So there we can see the post body, and it's displaying the HTML content, but we want to render this HTML. And for that, I'm going to use another library, and it's called React Native Render HTML. So this is the library we're going to use. This will render our HTML body. So let's just copy this command and quickly install this library. So while this is installing, let's just copy the import statement for this library. So let's just copy this line and paste it here. Okay, so the library is installed. Now let's just close this terminal and minimize this. So now we only want to use this library when we have the post body. So let's just remove this and make a condition here. Item.body, only then we will use this library, render HTML. And we're gonna give it a property of content width, which will be 100%. So let's use WP 100. Then we're gonna use the source, which will be our HTML body. So let's see how we can use this. So we need an object with HTML property, then the content. So let's add an object HTML and then item.body like this. And let's close it and save it. So now it's rendering the HTML post body, and we can see the styles are applied as well. But we also see three warnings at the bottom, which are support for the default props will be removed, which is something this library uses, but it's not affecting the functioning of this library. So we can just ignore them, but this will appear every time we refresh the app. So let me just reload the application. So when we get the post, we will see these warnings. So we will need to hide them so they don't show on our device, but they will still appear in the terminal, and that's fine. We can live with that. So let's just go into the layout file, and here we need to use the log box to ignore all these logs. So let's import logbox from React Native, and we're gonna use a function ignore logs, and this receives an array of all the logs that we want to ignore, but we don't have to copy and paste the complete log message. We can just copy until this colon and paste it here, and this will be removed. So let's copy all the logs, and this is the second one. So let's just copy this and paste it here, and let's also copy the third log. and paste it here. Now this will remove all of these three logs, and they won't show on the device again. So if I reload the application, we can still see them in the terminal, but we don't see them on the device. So everything's good. Now let's go into our postcard, and here I want to add some styles for the content, and we can use a property tag styles, and let's use tag styles. So now let's define our styles here. Let's create a constant tag styles, and we want to use our theme style as the color and the size. So for the div element, we will have the color as theme dot colors dot dark, and for the size, let's use hp of 1.75. So this style will be used by multiple text components. So let's just copy this and create another object as text style and paste this here. Now for the div element, we will use this text style. For the paragraph tag, we will also use this. And for the order list tag, we will also use this text style. Now for the h1 and h4 tag, we will just change the color, because if we change the font size, this will also make our headings tag smaller. So we'll just use color as theme.colors.dark, and let's just copy this and change this to h4. Then let's save this. So there we can see a slight difference in the color and the size of the text components. So similarly, you can add other styles if you want to. Now I want to show the post image here, but first we need to check if we have the file and it's an image file. So we can use a function includes and see if this file includes a string as post images, because each file has a path and it should include the folder name. And if you see in the Supabase, each file includes a folder name, a post images or post videos. So if it includes post images, that means it's an image file, and in that case we will use the expo image component here. And let's give this a source, and because it's a remote file, we can use get Supabase file URL and pass this file path here. And inside this function, you can see if we have the file path, this will return the Supabase URI. Then let's add the transition of 100 milliseconds. And for the style, let's give it a style of post media. And content fit property will be cover. So let's close this, and for the styles of the post media, we have the height of 40%, border radius, border curve, and the 100% width. So you can just copy this. So let's save this, and there we can see the post image that we uploaded. So this second post is empty because we uploaded a video in this post. Now we want to show the post video. So let's create a comment here, post video, and we want to use the video component from expo AV. But first let's make a check if we have the file, and the file includes post videos. That means it's uploaded into the post videos folder, so it must be a video file. And in that case, we will use the video component from expo AV. So this is the component. Let's just import it and give this a style of post media. So this style has the height of 40%, but we want to use the less height. So let's override the height and use HP of 30% for the videos. And if you see, this will just override the height from the post media style. So now let's add a source, and we can use the same function, get a Supabase file URL and pass the item.file. Then let's use native controls property. This will use the native controls for display resize mode as cover and is looping. So this will loop. Now let's save this, and there we can see the video that we uploaded, and we can play this video. It's not working. So I can't play or pause this video. So let me just reload the application and check again. There we see the video, and we still not able to play. So let's just delete this file. Maybe this file is corrupted for some reason. Let's delete this from our database and we will upload again and check if this works. So let's reload, and now we don't see this post, and let's create a new post with the same file. Let's choose this video and then hit post. So now we need to reload the application because it won't appear automatically here. There we can see the new post, and now if I hit play, it still doesn't work. That's very strange. um, let's just close this application and open it again. We can see the video, and if I click on play, now it's working. So I think there was something wrong with the Expo Go app, but we just needed to restart it and everything's working now. We can pause, play, go back, and go forward, and all the controls are working. I can even make it full screen, and this is working. So all the controls are working and the video posts are working now. So now I want to add some actions at the bottom to like and share this post. So let's create a comment, like, comment and share. Then let's create a view and give this a style of footer. And for the footer, we have the style as flex row. So if I open this, you can see these styles. I want to have three different actions for this footer area. So let's create a view and give this a style of footer button. And inside this, we are gonna use touchable opacity for the button. Then let's use the icon component and give it a name of heart, and size will be 24. And for the color, let's use the rose color from our theme object. Let's close this and save this. So there we can see the heart icon to like each post. So this color will change based on a condition, and for now let's just create a boolean liked. Let's make it false, and based on this we'll change the color for this heart icon. So if liked is true, then we'll use the rose color, but if it's not, then we'll use the text light color from our theme object, like this. And let's save this. So by default you can see it's using the text light color, and then we're gonna show the count, likes count. So let's create a text component, give it a style of count, and then inside this we're gonna show the length of all the likes. So later we're gonna have a likes array and we're gonna use the likes length, but for now let's just create an empty array likes and give it an empty array like this, and we will just simply display the length of this array. So this will be the count for all the likes. Then let's just copy this button two times for the share and the comment icon. So let's change this icon to comment. Let's save this and we can see the comment icon. And for this one, let's just remove this and add 0 for now. And for the third one, let's use the share icon like this. And we don't want to see the count, so let's just remove this and let's save this. So we are using this liked property to change the color of the hide icon. So if I change this to true, we shouldn't see it on all the icons, and we copied this on the comment and the share icon. So let's just remove this. We only want to use the text light color on the comment and the share icon like this. So this rose color is only applied on the stroke of this icon, but we want to change the full color of this icon. So if I go into this icon file in here you can see we have a property fill as none, but if I change this to a different color, let's say blue, this will change the fill of this color. So we can use this from the parent component because we are spreading all the props here. So we need to make this fill property on this component, and this will be conditional as well. So if the light is true, we will use the rose color from our theme, but if it's false, then we will use the transparent color. So now it's showing the full heart icon with the red color. And if I make this false, we will only see the outlined icon without the fill color like this. So this postcard component is complete for the home screen. Now I want to show a loading state at the bottom. This will indicate that we are fetching more posts. So let's go into the home component, and here in the flat list, I want to use a property as list footer component, and this will show at the bottom of the list. So let's create a view and give this a style of margin vertical of 30 pixels. Then let's close this, and inside this we will use our loading component. So let's just import this and save this. So now if I scroll down, we see the loading state indicating that we are fetching more data. But if I reload the application, it will show on the top when we have no posts. And I want to increase the margin when we have no posts. So let's create a condition. If the post dot length is 0, then we will have a margin vertical of 200 pixels, otherwise 30. So when we have the post, it will show like this. And if we don't have the post at the start, it will show like this. So now let's go to our document and see our progress. And in the home screen section, we have fetched the post, we have designed the postcard. I want to work on post pagination, but before that, let's work on real-time implementation. And this will mean when we create a post, this should automatically appear inside our post feed in the home screen. So for this, first we'll need to enable the real-time changes. So let's go into the database and then into publications. Here we see the real-time Supabase changes are enabled, but we see the source as zero tables. So let's click on this, and we need to enable the tables that we want to receive the real-time changes from. So let's choose comments, notifications, and then posts. So let's go back, and these are the actions that we can listen to, and we can even turn off an option and we won't be able to listen to this on the real-time changes. Now I want to listen for the create post event. So I need to go into the home screen and inside the use effect hook. Here I need to create a channel that will listen to the insert events on the post table. So let's create a post channel, and let's use the Supabase client. Then let's use the channel function and give it a name of posts. This can be any name. Then I'm gonna use the on function to listen on the Postgres changes. So let me show you how you can use this from the documentation. And we need to go into the real-time changes and click on the subscribe to channel. So this is the syntax to subscribe to a channel and then listen all the events from that channel. But in our case, I want to listen to the insert events from the post table. So let's go to the listen to a specific table, and this is how we can listen to all the events from the countries table, and this will give us a payload every time we create, delete, or update anything inside the countries table. So let's use this and listen to the changes from the post table. An event will be static so that we can listen to all the events from this table. Then we're gonna use schema as public, and a table name will be posts, and the third parameter will be a callback function for the payload. So let's use handle post event, which we'll create later. Then we're gonna subscribe to this channel like this. So here we have an error. This should have a colon like this. So we also need to unsubscribe from these channels. So let's return a callback from this use effect, and inside this we can use supabase dot remove channel function, and then we need to pass the post channel function in here. So now let's create this function handle post event, and this will be an async function which will give us the payload. So let's just console log this payload for now, and let's see the data that we're getting like this, and let's save this. So now let's create a new post and see what happens. Testing real-time changes. We need to open the terminal to see the logs and then hit post. So the post is created and we got the post event with this payload, and this includes the event type as insert, and this new property contains all the data from our new post as the body, user ID and the file. But one thing you will notice that this does not include the user object, and we need that to show in the post card. So what we will do is we will fetch the user inside this function and then update the post state because we have this user ID. So let's just remove this, and here we need to make a condition. If the payload dot event type equals insert, that will mean we got a new post. And we will also make a condition if we got the ID in the new object on this payload, that will mean we also got the data for this new post. Here you can see, then we will get this new post from this new object. So this is our new post. Now we also need to fetch the user for this post. So let's use get user data, and this receives the user ID here, and this will get us the user. Now let's pass the user ID from this new post like this. So now here we need to set the new post dot user using this response. So we will check if the response dot success is true, then we will get the user on this data property. Otherwise we will just set it to an empty object. So now we have the new post and we want to use the set post function. This will give us a callback with all the previous posts, and we will return an array. But first we will add the new post, then I will spread all the previous posts. So this way our new post will show on the top. So let's save this and see if this is working. So let's reload the application and then create a new post. Let me just log out and use a different account because with this account I've added so many posts. So let's use Jon Snow's account, and then we will create a new post from this account. Let's log in. Not now. So now let's create a new post, testing real time. Then hit post. So as you can see, this updated the post state because of the real time changes. So now let's create a new post, and this time let's use an image. Let's use this first image and then hit post. Okay, so as the post is created, it instantly appears on the feed because of the real-time changes that we implemented. Now let's open the Android emulator and see real-time changes on both the phones side by side. Let's just close this and move the iPhone simulator on the same window as well. So here, and we'll see the real-time updates here. So let's press A to open on the Android, and let's press R to reload the applications. So there we can see the app is running on the Android emulator. Now let's log in using my account. Also, this is the first time we are using this application on the Android emulator. So let's see how everything goes. So we can see the home screen and all the posts looking good. Now let's create a new post and see what happens. Testing 2, and let's include an image. Let's use this and then hit post. So as soon as the post is created, it appears on both of the devices, and this is because of the real-time changes that we implemented on the post table. So the UI on the Android is looking good. We can go to the profile screen, we can edit the profile. And if I choose the image, we don't have any image on this simulator. So let's go back. The alert model is working. Now let's see if the video player is working on Android. So I can play the video, then I can pause the video. So the controls are working and the UI is looking good on the Android as well. So this is how we can implement the real-time changes from Supabase. So this is it for this video, and in the next video we'll work on creating likes, shares and pagination. So see you in the next one.